Hey everyone, it's Teepa. And for my journal entry this month, I'm focusing in on changing social skills and how we interact with one another when there's brain change in the system. So, with dementia, all too often, people sort of go from I am who I am to my friend Harriet, where Harriet simply represents during the pandemic. She was my partner, my go to, if I wanted to demonstrate something like how do you shake hands with someone? How do you support someone by holding their hand? How do you approach and get eye contact? She was my role model because we were in social isolation. But in fact, Harriet's not a person living with dementia. And people living with dementia don't suddenly, in general, become unable to socialize. And in fact, for people living with dementia and brain changes that come with dementia, there are as many social skill sets as there are people. It turns out a lot of what might happen or it might not happen. It may happen early in a dementia. It may happen very late. It may barely be noticeable. It may be right in your face. Some of it depends on baseline, what the person was like before, how social they were, how skillful they were. But it also depends on so many other variables: the type of dementia, the length and duration of having had dementia, the sensory abilities that you have, your ability to hear sound, to hear speech, to interpret speech, to be able to see well, the ability to physically be comfortable, the ability to use your body and to approach and to engage and feel comfortable in your own skin and comfortable in a space and comfortable with others. There's all kinds of comfort or discomfort someone may experience in a social situation. It could be that you have some physiological distress. There are things going on inside of you that's making it really difficult for you to socialize, to be social in the way you used to be social. And sometimes it's something physical that's happening and it's uncomfortable, let alone painful. Because when we're uncomfortable or in discomfort, it makes it really hard to be totally connected in the way I would if I were comfortable. So I may have a facial expression. May have a movement pattern. I may change my eye contact. I may not want to be in certain places, or I may not want to be with certain people, or I may be seeking other people. Oh, yeah, my primitive brain gets in on it too. And the reality is, there's also some elements of who we're comfortable being around. We have different audiences that we're social with. I mean, I have my intimate or intimates. It could be I have one partner. Some people have more than one. It's an intimate partner, and that intimate partner may be an intimate work partner, an intimate life partner. It could be somebody I'm physically intimate with. So if I'm physically intimate with one person and then I make a mistake because of my ability to take in data, I might think I'm with someone and I'm actually with someone else. So my social behavior would be appropriate, quote unquote. It would match what you would expect if I were with one individual in one physical setting or social setting. And yet it would be totally like, whoa, what is going on there in another situation? And it could simply be my interpretation of where I am and who I'm with is different. Or it could be that I'm actually changing and I like something different or dislike something that I didn't used to. Some people become more social, some become a lot less social and more selective because we have intimates and then we have people that we know. We call them friends or we call them familiars, but not intimates, but familiars. They know a lot of things, but I wouldn't necessarily go around naked with them, or, you may not do that with anybody. I don't know. So I may share certain spaces. I may not share other spaces. Some people are very comfortable going into a public restroom. And depending on your cultural background and your experiences in the world, you may be comfortable taking care of body functions in a lot of different situations. And some people are very uncomfortable with that. So, we may notice a change in someone. We may notice no changes because we're not in that environment. We're not in that situation, but people who are in those situations might notice something. So then we start having issues with different support personnel when somebody's brain is changing and who's telling the truth and it's like telling the truth, not telling the truth. Maybe we're just seeing it from different perspectives. And we really should be taking into account the perspective of the person living with dementia a lot more often than classically people do. So then let's take a look at acquaintances, people that I know, but I just know to see, maybe at the store, maybe at a post office, maybe on the street, maybe in a neighborhood. Maybe there's somebody I see in specific situations, like a faith community, or maybe at a sports activity, or maybe in a work situation. I know them, but I don't know them. They know me, but they don't know me. So I have certain layers and covers, and maybe even clothing and wording and certain kinds of things I do. And it's layers, it's like onion layers. And one of the things that can happen with dementia is my layers get peeled off, and I start treating everybody like I treat one somebody, or maybe I isolate a little bit more, I compartmentalize. And so I can be very lovely in a general public situation, but when I get somebody alone, I'm very angry with how they treated me. And you may see that as very different, but I feel betrayed by what was going on, because sometimes people in public settings may treat me like I'm Harriet. I'm not. They actually talk about me without me as though I'm not even there. They may ask my person that I'm with a lot of things, or they may make comments and professionals do it, not just the public. I mean, we have healthcare providers, legal providers, public service sector folks who may do those kind of things because they make assumptions about things. Now, we also have situations where, due to the dementia somebody has, we might actually see some significant changes in ability to be social, interest in being social, conversation about being social, and social behaviors, things that we do. We share, we pass, we take turns. There are so many things we do. So for some dementias, people maintain so many social skills, it's hard to realize how much trouble they're having doing that. And they may be like the duck with his feet underwater, working really hard to go somewhere, but above the water, they look like they're floating. But it's taken everything they have. And so how long they can do something may significantly shorten. So when in the day, how much of the time, what's the topic of conversation? Because there's other social considerations as well. Some of us are more comfortable with certain intellectual experiences, like we have similar backgrounds, work experiences, leisure experiences, volunteer experiences, family experiences, or maybe we like new and different, and we're very different around people who are different and exciting and new, and people that are familiar, not so socially engaged with. It can feel like I don't like you when it's simply, it's just a different social situation for me. Now, additionally, we may have things that are political comfort or discomfort, or maybe social comfort or discomfort based on maybe culture or race, or how someone looks, or how someone sounds, or their accent, or their appearance. Oh my heavens, there's so many ways in which dementia can mess with my ability to be the social being I used to be, or maybe I'm actually how I used to be, and you don't see the difference. But it's highly possible that I'm not the only one that's changing socially when one of us is developing dementia. So if I'm developing dementia, you may change socially, and you may not notice that because you're busy pointing out my changes. And I would ask us to look in the mirror, look at the other person, and look at the people around, and sort of let's figure out how to support one another and how to provide separate spaces, maybe some different activities, maybe some different opportunities that may help us all get a little more comfortable, but not in boxes. I'm not really into segregation. I think that's a mistake, but I think recognizing when someone has had enough, isn't that interested in getting that much closer. But the idea of being present with one another and being supportive of one another wherever each person is, and acknowledging where we have differences and trying to find some common ground. Oh, yeah. That, I think, those of us who have flexibility and have capacity, that's where we can choose to make a difference. We can choose to modify and change and support and acknowledge and recognize and sigh. And sometimes let go of what we'd like, to recognize that's not what's going on here, and we may need to regroup. Mistakes will happen. Social mistakes happen all the time. Put your foot in your mouth. Let's just not keep it there. Make a mistake that's offensive. I am so sorry. I never meant that. So learning the I'm sorries, a very important skill to learn if you're going to support someone socially. Because frankly, this thing called dementia isn't all that much fun sometimes, because as the brain changes, my ability to be part of a group, within the group, support the group, need to be away from the group, create my own opportunities to do things may grow. People think of it as getting smaller, but in fact, my world may be just different. So this month, take a look around, listen, look, see what you can figure out. What kind of changes are happening for the person or people that you're engaged with, and what's happening for you? And can we do a better job of supporting one another with respect, looking for how to engage with comfort and when to notice discomfort, when for sure pick up on pain, when something's painful, and see what you can do about that. Maybe taking a look at yourself and then take a look around. I hope that gives you something to think about and something to consider. What might you want to try? Till next time, it's Teepa. Take care.
Hey folks, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to help us spread Teepa's positive approach message around the world. And don't forget to click the bell to get notified when new videos are posted.